Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SPURS NBA Friday. We got 10 games on the board. Unfortunately, almost all of them have teams that are on back-to-backs. Crazy. Most of these teams played last night. They're playing again tonight. I hate that about the NBA. I think we all collectively hate that. Get rid of those back-to-backs. Anyway, so yeah, NBA Friday, we got 10 games on the board. As far as Thursday night, I'm sitting at 4-3 right now. Lakers +6 is the only bet still open. If Lakers cover the +6, it'll be 5-3 night, and it'll be a solid one. If they don't cover the +6, I'll finish 4-4, which would be a break-even night, or I would lose the vig. Honestly, I'll take that with the first night back from the break. I didn't even put a full unit on anything. I just spread 0.75s across the board. Probably going to continue betting like that for at least a few more days. All the patterns that we were making money on for the first few months of the season have been reset with the All-Star break. So I want to get a feel for how these teams come out of the break before I start putting down any real money. But yeah, NBA Friday, 10 games on the board. Let's go.
Welcome to the SPURS. The SPURS. SPURS. Hey, get the SPURS.
First up, we got the Toronto Raptors on the road in Atlanta to play the Hawks. Atlanta laying 6.5 points at home. The total sitting at 244.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 5-point Hawks win. Final score 121-116 Atlanta. Injury reports. We'll start with the Raptors, and we got nothing. As of right now, I'm looking at the report, not a single name on there for Toronto. On the Atlanta side, also nothing with the exception of Okongwu. Okongwu is still out. The big news is Clint Capella is back in the lineup. He missed a few games before the break. Before we get into this one, we need to mention that the Raps are on a back-to-back. They did just play a game last night at home, all the way up in Toronto against the Nets, and then immediately flew down to Atlanta. Raps on the season on 0 days rest have not fared well. Just 2-8 straight up and 3-7 against the spread in those spots this season. Meanwhile, you got a Hawks team that hasn't played a game in 7-8 days. This is their first game back from the All-Star break, so definitely a fortunate spot for Atlanta. Betting trends on the Toronto side, Raps are 3-4 against the spread in their last 7, 3-5 against the spread in their last 8 on the road. On the Atlanta side, trends are looking pretty solid for the Hawks. 6-3 against the spread in their last 9, 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 at home, 3-1 against the spread in their last 4 as home favorites. In this particular head-to-head matchup, though, recent history definitely points towards Toronto. Raps are 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 against the Hawks, 7-4 against the spread in their last 11 trips to Atlanta. So they've had some success traveling down to Atlanta. Trends for the total are pointing towards an over bet here. In Raps games, the over is 5-3 in their last 8, 15-4 in their last 19 on the road. On the Atlanta side, 8-4 to the over in their last 12 games, 6-2 to the over in their last 8 at home. And in this particular head-to-head matchup, 11-4-1 to the over in the last 16 meetings. And 6-1 to the over in the last 7 meetings in Atlanta. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with the Raps offense. In the last 10 games, they've been attacking the interior a lot. 6th in shot frequency at the rim, 6th in frequency from the short mid-range. Hawks have really struggled to play defense down there. 27th and 26th in frequency and efficiency in the last 10 at the rim. And the Raps have played well in these types of matchups. On the season, the Raps are 6-3 straight up against teams in the bottom 5 of rim defensive efficiency. But in the same breath, we have to mention that the Hawks have done a really good job defending the short mid-range shot. Actually, in the last 10 games, like the best in the league. 1st in frequency, 2nd in efficiency, and the Raps are 6-13 against teams in the top 10 defensively in that zone. So it sounded like a positive angle at first, but not much to go by there. One angle I definitely like for Toronto offensively is the fast break. As we know, Toronto's been running the fast break a lot this season. They're 2nd in frequency on the year, 12th in efficiency. That's been a brutal area for Atlanta defensively. 24th in frequency, 28th in efficiency on the season. When we flip it to the other side and look at the matchup for the Hawks offense, right off the bat, nice little mismatch here for the Hawks on the glass. 9th in offensive rebounding rate in the last 10 compared to 29th for the Raptors defense. Now, if we switch it to the last 5 games, you can see the Hawks offensive rebounding rate drops down to 15th, but they played a couple of those games without Capella and Okongwu. Okongwu's still out, but Clint Capella is back for this game, so we should see the offensive rebounding numbers, especially against a team like Toronto that struggled to keep opponents off the offensive glass. We should see the Hawks get second chance opportunities. Another positive angle for the Hawks offensively, similar to the Toronto offense, they've been attacking the rim a lot. 7th in frequency there in the last 10 games. It's been a brutal spot for the Raptors. On the last 10, they're 21st in frequency, 27th in efficiency. As far as betting this game, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't just follow the trends here. Hawks have been trending towards the over. Raps have been trending towards the over. I like the matchup for both offenses. Both teams run a pretty fast pace. Give me the over, 244.5 next game. Cleveland on the road in Philadelphia. Sixers catching 4 points at home, total sitting at 229.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 2-point Cavs win. Final score 115-113 Cleveland. Injury reports, we'll start with Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell obviously sat out last night's game against Orlando. He's on the report. He's listed as questionable, so we'll see. Other than that, Cleveland's going to be at full strength. On the Philadelphia side, it looks like DeAnthony Melton may be returning to the lineup. He's been out a while now. He's currently listed as questionable. Robert Covington and Joel Embiid are still out. Before we get into this one, we need to mention that both of these teams played a game last night, so both of them on a back-to-back. I hate the NBA for this. Cleveland this season on 0 days rest, just 3-4-1 against the spread. But if you look at just their road games on 0 days rest, they're actually 3-1 in those games, and they're 3rd in overall net efficiency in those spots. So Cleveland on back-to-backs as a whole, not very great, but back-to-backs on the road, they've actually been pretty good. Philadelphia on 0 days rest, 9th in overall net efficiency, but just 4-6 against the spread. Betting trends on the Cleveland side, Cavs are just 4-6 against the spread in their last 10 overall now. 6-3 against the spread in their last 9 on the road, though, and 7-2-1 against the spread in their last 9 as road favorites. On the Philly side, Sixers, things aren't looking great for Philly right now. Just 4-11 against the spread in their last 15 overall. 0-7, 7 in a row. 7 straight losses against the number at home for the Sixers. In this particular head-to-head matchup, the Cavs are just 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 matchups against Philly, but look at their trips to Philadelphia. 8-3 against the spread in their last 11 trips to Philly. Also, this head-to-head matchup seems to lean towards the over. The last 8 meetings between these two, 6-2 to the over, 4-2 to the over in the last 6 at Philly. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with Cleveland's offense. Definitely a nice matchup for the Cavs on paper here. As we know, the Cavs' main shot zones either at the basket or shoot the 3. That's basically all they do. Philly's been struggling defensively against those shots. In the last 10 at the rim, Cleveland 11th in frequency, 5th in efficiency. Philly's defense 17th and 28th. Cleveland on the season 14-5 against teams in the bottom 10 of defensive efficiency at the rim. So a real nice look for the Cavs there. And then above the break 3, Cleveland in the last 10 games 6th in frequency, 8th in efficiency. Philly's defense 20th and 21st. Cleveland on the season 17-2 in games against teams in the bottom 10 of defensive efficiency against the above the break 3. So another really good look for the Cavs there. Cleveland's also got the edge from the corner 3. Not exactly a frequently used shot, but Cleveland's 9th in frequency from there. Philly's defense 30th and 21st. So a real nice matchup on paper for the Cavs offense. When we flip it over to the other side, it's really hard to find the positive looks for Philly here. The main 2 shot zones for the Sixers have been short, mid-range, and the rim. They've been attacking the interior. That's playing right into the strength of Cleveland's defense. Cleveland's defense in the last 10 at the rim, 13th in frequency, 3rd in efficiency. Philly's offense, 5th in frequency. From the short mid-range, Cleveland 11th in frequency, 1st in efficiency. Philly's offense in the last 10, 3rd in frequency. So what the Sixers are doing offensively is exactly what Cleveland is elite at defending. And to take it a step further, this Philly team, especially without Joel Embiid, they love to push the tempo. They love to get out in the fast break. Cleveland's great defending the fast break, 13th in frequency, but 7th in defensive efficiency and transition. So this is just a brutal matchup for the Sixers on both sides of the court, which is why I'm on the Cavs. I jumped in on Cleveland at -4. I know they're on a back-to-back, but so is Philly. Maybe this number goes up and I get a better value. Maybe it goes down. Who knows? But I'm comfortable in my position at Cleveland -4. Next game. Washington on the road at Oklahoma City here. Thunder laying 14.5 points at home. The total sitting at 241.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see an 8-point OKC win. Final score 121-113 Thunder. Injury reports, and we'll start with the Washington Wizards. I believe this is still the report from last night. I don't think they've put out an updated one. They just played a game against the Nuggets. Kyle Kuzma's on the report listed as probable. Other than that, no one on the report. But again, this may be from last night. Oklahoma City, nobody on the injury report for the Thunder at this time. Before we get into this one, we need to mention that, again, another matchup between two teams that both these teams are on a back-to-back. I don't know why the NBA does this. Washington on the season on 0 days rest, though. 0-9 straight up, 3-6 against the spread. So they've struggled with these. Oklahoma City on 0 days rest, 6-3 straight up, 6-3 against the spread. So Oklahoma City's actually been pretty good in these spots. Betting trends on the Washington side. Wizards 4-2 against the spread in their last 6, 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 on the road. Their cover streak on the road came to a close last night when they failed to cover the number against the Nuggets. Trends on the OKC side, Thunder 4-6 against the spread in their last 10, 3-4 against the spread in their last 7 at home, 16-7 against the spread this season as home favorites. As far as the recent history in this particular head-to-head matchup, definitely leans towards Oklahoma City. The Wizards are just 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 matchups against the Thunder, 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 trips to OKC. Also, recent matchups between these two have been trending towards the over. 5-1 to the over in the last 6 meetings between the Wizards and Thunder, 3-1 to the over in the last 4 at OKC. So let's match these teams up on the court, and we'll start with Washington's offense. As we know, the bright spot of the Wizards offense all year has been the fast break. They're actually good at it. They're 4th in frequency, so they push the tempo a lot. 5th in efficiency, so they are efficient scoring in the fast break. But they're playing Oklahoma City, so I don't know if that's going to be here, especially on the road in OKC. Oklahoma City, probably the best transition defense in the NBA. 1st in frequency, 2nd in efficiency. Washington Wizards on the season, just 1-14 straight up against teams in the top 10 of transition points per game allowed. When we look a little deeper at the matchup for the Wizards offense, I mean, it really only gets worse. You can see probably not going to get many opportunities from the foul line here, just 29th in free throw rate in the last 10. Oklahoma City defensively is at 6th. And then turnovers. Oklahoma City 6th in forced turnover rate. Washington back at 22nd. They've been having problems protecting the basketball. And that could be a problem because those turnovers can turn into fast breaks the other way, which let's flip it over to the other side of the ball and bring up Oklahoma City's offensive numbers in transition. They're one of the best fast break teams in the NBA. 1st in frequency, 9th in efficiency, and the Wizards just 26th in defensive efficiency against the fast break. As far as the rest of the matchup for Oklahoma City's offense, though, I mean, we've kind of seen the Thunder offense transition. In the beginning of the year, they were all on the interior. They were attacking the paint a lot, attacking the rim a lot. They've actually been relying more on jump shots as of late. In the last 5 games, they're 6th in long mid-range frequency, 12 and above the break 3 frequency, 2nd in corner 3 frequency. So they've been taking a lot of jump shots. That's not exactly good news because the Wizards have actually played great defense against the 3 ball. They're actually 1st against the corner 3, 4th against the above the break 3. So Oklahoma City needs to get back to their roots here and attack the rim in this one because if they want to play the jump shot game against the Wizards, they're playing right into their strength. As far as betting this game, OKC on paper, definitely a tough matchup for the Wizards, but I still can't lay 14.5, 15 points to Washington on the road. This team has just cashed so many bets as road underdogs. There's no way I can lay a big number to them, so it'll be Wizards or pass for me. I didn't bet this one yet. We'll see. I'll let you know in the live show final decision next game. Phoenix on the road in Houston. Rockets catching 3 points at home, total sitting at 228.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, the Rockets should win this one outright. Final score 115-114 Rockets. Injury report. And we'll start with the Suns. Bradley Beal is listed as doubtful, but I'm not sure if this report's been updated. He didn't play last night in the Dallas game, so we'll have to wait and see with him. Other than that, Phoenix should be at full strength. On the Houston side, Rockets are good to go with the exception of Tari Eason, who's still out. When is this guy going to come back? I thought he was coming back before the break. He was listed as questionable a couple games. Thought he was going to come back. Nope, Tari Eason still out. Before we get into this one, another game where both of these teams are on back-to-backs. This is ridiculous. The Suns on 0 days rest this season, 7-2 straight up, 5-4 against the spread. So the Suns have been pretty decent on 0 days rest. The Rockets, however, have not. I mean, just 2-8 straight up. They're actually 5-4-1 against the spread on 0 days rest, so they've covered the number, but just 2-8 as far as wins and losses. Trends for Phoenix, Suns are 7-3 against the spread in their last 10, 3-5 against the spread in their last 8 on the road, 6-9 against the spread in their last 15 as road favorites. On the Houston side, Rockets 2-5 against the spread in their last 7, 7-4 against the spread in their last 11 at home, though, so they haven't been covering the number at home. And look at this, they're 10-3 against the spread in their last 13 as home dogs. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, The Suns are 5-3 against the spread in their last 8 matchups against the Rockets, and they're 7-3-1 against the spread in their last 11 trips to Houston. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with Phoenix offense. Should get plenty of opportunities from the free throw line here. In the last 10 games, the Suns are 3rd in free throw rate offensively. Rockets defense 30th. So they've been having problems fouling people. Phoenix on the season 13-8 against teams in the bottom 10 in defensive free throw rate. Houston on the season 5-13 against teams in the top 10 of offensive free throw rate. So a tough start to this handicap for the Rockets. Bad news for the Suns offense, though. Rockets are going to have the big rebounding edge on this side, 22nd to 5th in the last 10. Look at the turnover numbers. Phoenix in the last 10 games, dead last in turnover rate. Rockets have been creating turnovers, so all hope is not lost for the Rockets defense. And when we pull up the shot charts here for the Suns offense, obviously we got to look at the mid-range shooting numbers. In the last 10 games, Suns obviously 1st in long mid-range frequency, 12th in paint frequency. The Rockets actually have great defensive numbers against that long mid-range shot, 1st and 5th. They have terrible numbers against that short mid-range shot, so not sure what to take away from that. I also feel it's worth mentioning that the Suns have been really efficient in the fast break despite not running it that much. So they're 24th in frequency, but they're 1st in efficiency. I don't know if that's going to be there against a Rockets team that's really good defensively in transition, 4th and 3rd on the season. When we flip it over to the other side and look at the matchup for Houston's offense, right off the bat, really nice advantage for the Rockets on the glass, 6th in offensive rebounding rate in the last 10 compared to 22nd for the Suns defense. So the Rockets definitely should get some second chance opportunities. But after that, it gets really tough to find positive angles for the Rockets offense. They're 1st in frequency at the rim in the last 10, so they attack the basket a lot. Suns are 8th in defensive efficiency there, so the Suns have defended that well. The Rockets also take a ton of above the break threes. They're 2nd in frequency in the last 10. Suns are 3rd defensively from that zone. So yeah, this Suns defense is a tough matchup for the Rockets. Houston is just 2-9 straight up in their last 11 games against teams in the top 10 of defensive efficiency at the rim. So not a good look there. On top of that, the Rockets like to push the tempo also. They're 10th in fast break frequency on the season. Suns defense have been pretty good in that department. They're 8th in efficiency against the fast break. As far as betting this game, I know a lot of people are going to take the Rockets here. They're better at home. And you got the Suns coming off that rivalry game against Dallas, but I like this matchup for the Suns, and I think I'm going to play the Suns here. I'm going to wait it out. I haven't placed a bet yet. I think this number is probably going to get bet down, but I'll let you know in the live show the final decision, but I think I'm going to end up on Phoenix here next game. Clippers on the road at Memphis. Grizzlies catching 10 or 9.5, depending on your sports book. Total sitting at 224.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we should see a 5-point Clips win. Final score 116-111 LA. Injury reports, we'll start with the Clips, and we got nobody. As of right now, nobody on the injury report for the Clippers. On the Memphis side, I mean, they're in pretty good shape as far as Memphis Grizzlies injury standards go. Jaren Jackson Jr. is on the report. He's listed as probable. Other than that, obviously, Desmond Bane is still out. Brandon Clark is out. Marcus Smart is out. But other than that, Grizzlies should have their pieces out there. So Grizzlies in really good shape for Grizzlies standards. Before we get into this one, we need to mention, shocker, another team on a back-to-back. Clippers just played last night. Clippers on 0 days rest this season. They're actually 5-3 and 5-3 against the spread, though. So the Clippers have been solid on 0 days rest. Memphis, on the other hand, is very rested. This is their first game back from the All-Star break. Trends on the Clippers side, Clips are just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 now. They are 12-6 against the spread in their last 18 on the road. And check this out, 11-3 against the spread in their last 14 as road favorites. Trends on the Memphis side are looking pretty good, man. Grizzlies 10-4 against the spread in their last 14, 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 at home. So just some nice looking betting trends. In this particular head-to-head matchup, recent history points towards the Grizzlies. Clippers are just 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 matchups against Memphis, 3-5 against the spread in their last 8 trips to Memphis. It's also been all overs in this head-to-head matchup, 7-3 to the over in the last 10, 4-1 to the over in the last 5 at Memphis. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with the Clips offense. Clippers offense is pretty well balanced, but recently they have been relying on jump shots a bit more. In the last 10 games, they're above average in shot frequency from the above the break 3 and the corner 3. Memphis is struggling against the mid-range shot, that long mid-range shot, so maybe they have the edge there, but Memphis' defense actually has good numbers against that 3-point shot, 7th in defensive efficiency there in the last 10. This Clippers offense is also a unit that likes to get out in transition. They're 9th in fast break frequency on the season. That's good news for Memphis. Grizzlies have actually played good defense against the fast break. They're 4th in efficiency on the season. On the other side, we'll take a look at the matchup for the Grizzlies offense. As we know, Memphis has struggled offensively for the last couple months. Definitely not going to be getting trips to the free throw line here. They're just 22nd in free throw rate in the last 10. Clips defensively are 2nd. As we know, this Grizzlies offense has been extremely reliant on the three-point shot. They're 3rd in above the break frequency and 6th in corner frequency in the last 10. So they've been shooting the shit out of the three ball. Clips actually not the best numbers against the above the break three, just 17th in efficiency in the last 10. They do have excellent numbers against the corner three, but that shot's not as common as the above the break. As far as betting this game, I already bet this one. I got in at Memphis at +10. I put it in the Discord. Part of it is this Memphis team just keeps finding a way to cover these numbers at home. But also, I don't think it's a terrible matchup for the Grizzlies, especially with the Clippers being on a back-to-back with the travel. You got the Clippers coming off that huge game in Oklahoma City, and this offense should struggle to score points here against Memphis defense. So I actually like the matchup for the Grizzlies defense. So I think they keep it close. Give me Memphis +10 next game. Miami Heat on the road in New Orleans. Pelly's laying 3 points at home, total sitting at 223.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we should see a 2-point Pelly's win. Final score 112-110 New Orleans. Injury reports, and we'll start with the Miami Heat. Tyler Hero's on the report. He's listed as questionable. Jimmy Butler is back. He had a death in the family, I believe it was. He missed a few games before the break, but he's back with the Heat now. Richardson is still out, and so is Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier still out for the Heat. On the New Orleans side, Brandon Ingram is listed as questionable, so that's a big one. We'll have to see if he plays. Dyson Daniels is still out for the Pellies. Before we get into this one, we need to mention that we got another team on a back-to-back. New Orleans just played a game against the Rockets last night. A comfortable win, so it wasn't a stressful game for them. But this is obviously a very well-rested Heat team. This is their first game back from the All-Star break. Pelicans on the season on 0 days rest. They're 4-4 straight up in those games, but they are 5-3 against the spread, so they've covered the number in these. Betting trends on the Miami side, they've been covering the number. Heading into the break, 7-1 against the spread in their last 8, 3-0 against the spread in their last 3 on the road. On the Pelican side, they're 2-3 against the spread in their last 5, 6-8 against the spread in their last 14 at home. In this particular head-to-head matchup, though, it's been all Heat. Miami is 13-3 against the spread in their last 16 matchups against the Pelicans. They're also 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 trips to New Orleans. The under has also been cashing in this matchup. 8-2 to the under in the last 10 meetings between these two teams, 5-2 to the under in the last 7 meetings at New Orleans. So in this matchup, Heat versus Pelicans, if you've been betting Heat and under, you're up significantly. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with the Heat offense. Right off the bat, we need to point out that the Pelicans have played really good defense against that short mid-range shot, a shot that the Heat love to take. They're actually 1st in frequency in the last 10 games, 6th in efficiency. Pelicans 3rd and 5th in that zone in the last 10. That being said, Miami is 10-12 in the 22 games against defenses in the top 10 of defensive efficiency against that zone, though. Other than that, though, tough to find matchups on this side of the court. We can take a look at the three-point numbers. In the last 10 games, Miami's taking 40% of their shots from 3. It's a pretty average amount. And if you look at the Pelicans' defensive efficiency numbers against the three-point shot, pretty average. So, I mean, really nothing to go by here. And if we pull up the 4 factors on this side of the court, I mean, look at these numbers. They're pretty much even across the board. Kind of tough to give the edge to either side here as far as the matchup between the Heat offense and the Pelicans defense. On the other side of the court, we got the Pellies offense. A couple numbers I like for Miami defensively here. So New Orleans is an offense that usually can rely on getting second chance points as far as offensive rebounds and getting trips to the foul line. Might not be happening here in this matchup against the Heat defense. Miami defensively in the last 10, 2nd in defensive rebounding rate, 8th in free throw rate. Let's pull up some shot charts on this side. Pelicans, not much of an outside shooting team. They're actually bottom 10 in frequency from both the above the break and corner 3. So let's pull up the shot charts from inside the 3-point line. Really nothing here. I mean, the Heat have gotten really lit up from that short mid-range shot, but New Orleans is taking just 18% of their shots from there. So nothing really jumps out on either side here. As far as betting this game, kind of a tough game to handicap. I did bet it, though. I'm on the Heat. I grabbed it at +3. Miami was red hot covering the number heading into the break. Hopefully that continues. I expect Miami to be a much better team in the second half of the year than we saw in the first half of the year. Pelicans on a back-to-back. They just took care of the Rockets, which is a conference game. Now they play the Heat the very next night, a non-conference game. Not that I don't think the Pelicans will be motivated, but I just like the spot for the Heat, and I like betting the Heat on the road and as underdogs. So kind of checks off all the boxes. Give me Miami +3 next game. Milwaukee on the road at Minnesota. Finally, a good one. Finally, a good game that the NBA didn't mess up with weird scheduling. This one's on ESPN. Neither team on a back-to-back. Well, actually, I think one of these teams are on the first leg of a back-to-back. I should have wrote it down. But neither of these teams played last night. That's what's important. Minnesota laying 4.5 points at home. The total sitting at 224. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see an 8-point Minnesota win. Final score 116-108 T-Wolves. Betting trends on the Milwaukee side. Bucks just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10. Check this out. 1-11 against the spread in their last 12 on the road. That's disgusting. 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 as road dogs. On the Minnesota side, trends are looking pretty good. 7-2 against the spread in their last 9, 5-3 against the spread in their last 8 at home. As far as this particular matchup, though, we do need to point out that Milwaukee's 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 trips to Minnesota. So Bucks have been pretty successful here. Trends for the totals, Milwaukee's been trending towards the under, 8-2 to the under in their last 10, 9-2 to the under in their last 11 on the road. On the Minnesota side, they are 4-1 in their last 5 to the over, but they're 10-5 to the under in their last 15 at home. And if you look at this particular matchup, the recent history here, all overs. 7-3 to the over in the last 10 meetings, 3-1 to the over in the last 4 meetings in Minnesota. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with the Bucks offense. As we know, the backbone of this Minnesota defense, well, pretty much the backbone of the entire Minnesota team, honestly, is their interior defense, protecting the basket, protecting the paint. In the last 10 games, they're first in efficiency at the rim, third in efficiency in the paint. So absolutely elite down there. Unfortunately for Minnesota, the Bucks do not attack the interior at all, or at least they haven't been recently. In the last 10 games, they're 25th in frequency at the basket, 30th in frequency from the short mid-range. So the Bucks have not been taking any shots down there. Milwaukee's been relying a lot more on jump shots recently. In the last 10 games, look at their frequency numbers here. 8th from the long mid-range, 4th from above the break, 3rd from the corner. Now, it's not like Minnesota is bad defending jump shooters. They're 13th, 11th, and 17th from those 3 zones. It's just if the Bucks are not going to make attacking the interior a priority or a big part of their offense in this game, it kind of removes the strength of this Minnesota team. Let's pull up the numbers in transition. Bucks should struggle to get the fast break going in this one. Now, they're just 14th in frequency, so they don't run a ton of fast breaks, but they are 7th in efficiency, so they're pretty good at it. Minnesota defensively 9th and 6th on the year. Also, probably not going to see many second chance opportunities here for Milwaukee. Just 27th in offensive rebounding rate in the last 10 games compared to 13th for Minnesota defensively. There is something positive for the Bucks here. They should get to the stripe. 14th in free throw rate in the last 10 compared to 28th for Minnesota's defense. Now let's flip it over to the other side of the ball and talk about Minnesota's offense. Actually, first I want to point out this Bucks defense really hasn't been that bad. I mean, the Bucks kind of got branded because of the first month of the season. They kind of got branded as this team with an elite offense and they don't play any defense. That's not an accurate reflection of this Bucks team at all. In fact, if you look at the matchup here in the last 10 games, Bucks defense actually has the slight rebounding and turnover edge on this side of the court. Shot charts on this side, Minnesota's been doing most of their damage on the interior. 9th in frequency at the rim, 8th in frequency from the short mid-range in the last 10. Bucks have actually done a solid job protecting the basket. They're 8th and 6th at the rim in the last 10. They do have some rough-looking numbers against that short mid-range shot, though, 19th and 27th. But give the Bucks some credit. They've been a top 10 defense as far as protecting the rim. That being said, Minnesota on the season is still 8-3 straight up against top 7 defenses at rim efficiency. So it's not like Minnesota struggled with these elite interior defenses. As far as betting this game, I really think the Bucks are going to start to show up and look like a much better team in the second half. I don't know if I love this to be the particular spot for it. In fact, I would look forward to Sunday. They go on the road to Philly. Doc Rivers returns to Philadelphia. I'll definitely be betting the Bucks in that one. That being said, I'm not taking Minnesota here because I think the Bucks might be a bit undervalued, but 4.5, Minnesota's been really good at home. Give me Bucks plus 4.5. I didn't bet this one. I don't know if it'll make my ticket, but that's the only way I'd go here. So I'll say Bucks plus 4.5 for pass next game. Denver on the road at Portland. Blazers catching 8.5 points at home, or 9, depending on your sports book. Total sitting at 218.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we should see a 4-point Denver win. Final score 111-107 Nuggets. Injury reports, and we'll start with Denver. Nuggets, another team that just played a game last night, so we'll probably receive an updated injury report. But as of right now, it looks like Caldwell Pope, the only name on the list, or the only significant name on the list, I should say. He's listed as probable. On the Portland side, we got a few names here. Brogdon out. Scoot Henderson out. Jadon Sharp obviously still out. After that, Jabari Walker is listed as questionable. So Portland missing a slew of guards in this one. Before we get into this one, we need to mention that the Nuggets are on a back-to-back again. The NBA with this. Denver on 0 days rest this year, just 3-7 against the spread. So the Nuggets have not been good on 0 days rest. Portland, on the other hand, is completely rested. It's their first game back from the All-Star break. Betting trends on the Nuggets side, Denver 2-5 against the spread in their last 7, just 10-18-1 against the spread on the road this year. One of the least profitable road teams in the NBA. Trends on the Portland side, 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 heading into the break. 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 at home. They are, however, 8-4 against the spread in their last 12 as home dogs, though. In this particular head-to-head matchup, recent history points towards the Blazers here. Denver just 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 versus Portland, 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 trips to Portland. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with Denver's offense. Huge edge on the offensive glass here, 3rd in offensive rebounding rate in the last 10. 30th for Portland defensively, so Denver should get plenty of opportunities as far as second chance points. You know what? I'm not even going to go into this. This is a straight pass for me. I'm not going to bet Portland without Brogdon, Sharp, and Scoot Henderson. No chance. That's too many missing guards. But I'm also not going to lay 8.5, 9 points on the road with Denver. The Nuggets have been one of the worst road teams in the NBA against the number, so there's no chance. I have no interest in this game. Next game. I got 2 games left on the board, but it's Hornets at Warriors, Spurs at Lakers, and both the Warriors and Lakers are still playing. So I'm not even going to get into it yet. I'll save these for the live show tomorrow at 4 p.m. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. We'll go through all 10 games, make our final decisions. Prop Beaver's going to be on, and Crispy Cap'n is coming on. So going to be a good one. Hope to see you there. If you want my top bets, parlays of the day. Oh, I started posting tickets overnight. And the overnight ticket I posted went 4-2. For some reason, I added 2 more bets that went 0-2, or it's looking like 0-2 today. But I'm going to be posting overnight tickets. So if you want to get bets in early, go to KyleKirms.com. Also, the link to join the Discord is on there as well. Let's have ourselves a good Friday night. Not the best time for betting NBA. We need another week under our belts before we really get into it. But let's pick our spots, bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.